So when you first chatted with me, you said to me that you wanted to get back to a size 12, but you were currently a size 14. You were fit-ish, but you're not like you used to be. You mentioned how busy you were. You mentioned your daughters, and how important it was you to eat healthily and to be a good example to them. A month later, you said, my jeans are fitting better. I've lost a little bit of weight. I'm drinking a lot more water. And it was easier for you to get to bed earlier because I remember getting to bed earlier was a tricky point for you. So you started to focus on sleep. So
Mm.
hydration, sleep, these were new things that you were now focusing on. Then you mentioned March, April. By that point, you had really lost quite a bit of weight. You know, your trousers were much, much looser, but you weren't focusing on the scales because you knew that you were also building muscle and you were drinking far, far less alcohol. And that was the real turning point for you. Not just the alcohol, but it was all of the habits coming together. Then we were into May, getting into May, and you were saying, I'm feeling really good. You've definitely lost weight, even though you weren't standing on the scales, but you could tell your clothes were looser. I mean, and now you're a size 10.
This Body by Pieta is so amazing and so well structured and thought about
Hi
because
everyone, it is Pieta here from Body by Pieta, and this week's member spotlight is the amazing Rebecca. Thank you, Rebecca, for joining me today. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
We are going to talk today about Rebecca's amazing results since she started working with me. Gosh, it was January? January?
January the
January.
6th.
Can you believe it? And we're November now. And you all need to hear this because I think every woman will relate to Rebecca's story and it has just got to be shared. So, Rebecca, first, just let me just hand it over to you. Would you like to introduce yourself? Tell us about you. Who are you?
Right.
Where are you?
So I am Rebecca Deren, Rebecca Gibbs. I've got two names. I'm 57 and I'm an actor, trained as an actor, but actually these days I run a company called the Drama Hut and we put actors, young, enthusiastic actors into schools who they run curriculum-based workshops. So they'll go in costume as Boudica or as the goddess Isis or as Florence Nightingale, Rosa Parks. So that's what I do mainly. And I do quite a lot of voiceover work, which I do at home.
You've got a
And
great voice.
thank you so much. I'll put my best John Lewis voice on for you now.
Please
So,
do. Please do. So you're a business owner, you're a busy woman, you're a mum
mhm.
of older children who
Of
are
a
at home.
20-year-old and an 18-year-old.
Why don't we throw back the clock to January? Take me back to how you felt back then. Like what was going on for you in your body, in your mindset, and your energy?
Well, I think it's funny that we've just ended that last bit on children because I think children are so much to do with it. So in January, before January, Morgan, my oldest daughter, had been at uni for a year, and Nancy is quite independent, 18, and everybody, they still needed me, and we're still very involved in each other's lives. But there was a shift because one was kind of missing for a bit, although she keeps coming back, thankfully. But she was missing. John, my husband, is incredibly busy. And I was working at home and I was running the drama hut and doing and voicing stuff. But even though I was busy, I things had changed and I sort of felt a bit, I'd sort of been a bit left. That sounds so dramatic, but I felt a bit like, oh, okay. Even though I was running a company and doing stuff and exercising and doing loads of stuff, I just suddenly felt a bit, and everything joins together, doesn't it? How you're feeling about your body, how I was tired, I was feeling sluggish, but just feeling a bit mumsy and at home. And everybody had gone, even though they hadn't really gone. And then it started me really looking at how I was feeling emotionally, and I was really miserable. And I didn't have any reason to feel miserable because I'd been so lucky and was so lucky. The more I thought about it, I thought, you know what? It's about how I look, it's about how I feel. Couldn't work out why I didn't have the energy because I wasn't sitting around on the sofa eating crisps. I was doing stuff, I was exercising with, Nancy, my younger daughter, who's still at home, is a vegetarian and incredibly so we eat so well. We were eating so well, I thought anyway. And that nothing really made sense and it was making me a bit miserable and frustrated. So when Sophia, my friend, said that her sister-in-law or somebody had, why don't you try it? Normally I would just be like, no, and something I said, you know, why don't I just try it?
Yeah.
And I did.
And you did. What before you did though, what was the moment where you said, I can't keep feeling like this. Something has to change. What was the moment before you decided to sign up?
Do you know what? It might have been, and we've talked about this in our group chat. I know it might have been photographs. I was already feeling a bit mumsy and a bit tired and no energy. And then I saw a photograph and I just thought, oh, I don't like that. I don't like that photograph. And that's not how I feel like this. And I want to feel like this. I think with two girls, with two little girls, then two teenage girls, and then two young women, they're so positive about their bodies and how they feel, and they're very healthy and they're very sporty. And there's always been that kind of pull of not saying, oh, I'm on a diet, or, you know, you've got to be careful what you eat, but actually celebrating that we are what we are and we should be happy about that. And actually, I wasn't. I was beginning to be really negative about it and negative around them. And, you know, to have teenage daughters saying, oh, mum, don't be silly, you look great. That's not good. We've always worked hard to be so positive around them. And that was changing. And I think maybe over Christmas, I was giving off those vibes over Christmas when really I should be joining in with their celebration of, you know, we are what we are and we need to celebrate it and love it. And their mum was beginning to not do that. And that's not what I want to put out there for them.
That's so interesting. We'll come back to the mindset piece. The mindset can be the hardest thing to change, and particularly if we're talking about how we want to represent or be the best examples for our children. It's very important to us as parents, isn't it? So we'll come back to that. You were about to join the trial for Body by Pieta. What were your reservations?
Yeah, I did. There's the really quite basic one, which isn't a one to be proud of, but I thought, oh, it's money. I'm going to spend money on myself. Yeah, also the fear of failing.
Mm.
That's which is a through line with my life. But you know, which lots of people as well, you know, if I start it and it doesn't work out, oh, you know,
Mm.
another thing. Yeah, and I was a bit worried that it wouldn't work really.
Was there anything that surprised you about when you first started?
It surprised me that I pushed myself to do the lives because they're 6:30 in the morning. Now, in retrospect, that works really well for me, which we can talk about later. But yeah, it was surprised that I kept showing up because there was such a tangle between or pull between, I don't think this is really working. I'm not sure this is me. But I kept showing up, I kept coming. And I think maybe there is the accountability.
So let's talk about when all of a sudden you realized there was a turning point and you were like, okay, wow, this is actually working. When was that?
Remember the first conversation, which we've talked about since, about I'm not giving up alcohol. No, I'm just not doing it. Don't you hadn't asked me to, but the defensiveness. Well, I'm not doing it, and like I think in sort of March. Again, I can't. I wish I could remember every detail. That you know, I just thought, well, I might give it a go. I might start drinking less. I think, you know, well, and then just said, I'm just going to stop it. I think I was so fixated on the exercise. I got that done. I got my head into that. And then round about sort of end of March, April, I began to think about the other things. Right, I've really got to focus on the food thing here because it's all there for me. You know, I was dipping in and out, and then about the alcohol, and the timing was right. And then as April went on, I started noticing changes, just how I was feeling. I noticed with my clothes and things were getting a little bit looser, and then that drives you on.
I mean, I've got the notes here from our calls of the changes over that period of time. And what's important about this is that trying to do everything from day one can be too overwhelming for most people, which is often why women won't stick to it. It's too much too soon. And layering it like you did actually worked really well. Works for so many of my clients as well. Where we focus on the things that resonate with us at the time. So when you first chatted with me, you said to me that you wanted to get back to a size 12, but you were currently a size 14. You were fit-ish, but you're not like you used to be. You mentioned how busy you were. You mentioned your daughters, and how important it was you to eat healthily and to be a good example to them. A month later, You said, my jeans are fitting better. I've lost a little bit of weight. I'm drinking a lot more water. And it was easier for you to get to bed earlier because I remember getting to bed earlier was a tricky point for you. So you started to focus on sleep. So
Mm.
hydration, sleep. These were new things that you were now focusing on. Then you mentioned March, April. By that point, you had really lost quite a bit of weight. Your trousers were much, much looser, but you weren't focusing on the scales because you knew that you were also building muscle and you were drinking far, far less alcohol. And that was the real turning point for you. Not just the alcohol, but it was all of the habits coming together. Then we were into May, getting into May, and you were saying, I'm feeling really good. You've definitely lost weight, even though you weren't standing on the scales, but you could tell your clothes were looser. I mean, and now you're a size 10. And you have
Mad, which
completely.
feels mad. I mean, really, that is so alien in a really good way. And it's interesting what you're saying about layering because I hadn't quite realized it's really useful you reading that out because I hadn't quite realized because that was almost organic. That wasn't really planned. That was my mind almost protecting me, saying, okay, just do. And then came the vitamins and supplements. That was also another layer that went with the water and it's been layered on. And I think the most wonderful, I'm actually getting really excited now that we're having this conversation because you've reminded me. And I think the whole thing about this, and I'm sure it will come up a bit later, is that it's manageable and sustainable. This my life changing works with my family. They've changed with me in a really good way, still doing what they do and still doing everything they do, but it works with what I do as well. And that was the other thing I think was going back to the resistance, maybe if there were resistance to starting this journey, is I didn't want to be doing two meals or different meals or doing different things at different times. We love doing things together, and I pride. That's the point, we do stuff together. Even Morgan in Newcastle, the amount of times we text and call and discuss what we're eating. So, I didn't want that to change, and it hasn't actually.
Mm. So, should we talk about the mindset now? What has it been like for you, that mental journey? How has your mindset evolved through this?
I think the key word there is it's evolved. So it's just it feels like it was such like I used that word before, but I think it's a good use of it. It's an organic thing that has happened and it has just evolved, and that's why I can sustain it, and it's just part of my life now. And I think right at the beginning of this conversation, I said about everything is linked, isn't it? So emotions and how you look and how you feel, what you're putting in, is all I see now, like I'm having a revelation. I see that it's all completely linked. And that's how I'm feeling. I'm feeling like everything is linked and I feel in control. And this is where I sort of have to be careful, especially around the girls. And we've had lots of conversations about this. And I think we're in a good place now about, yes, I feel confident because I'm happier with how I look, but that's okay because it didn't start from, right, I want to get skinny and I want to look good in photographs. It didn't, it started from something much more complex and much deeper. And the fact that's why this has been such an amazing, this Body by Pietro is so amazing and so well structured and I'm pointing at you like you don't know it's you, and so well structured and thought about. I'll give you a really quick, really good example. My younger daughter Nancy and I, we went away on a little trip together. And I'd already been very conscious about working through this with her because she's very, just learning about sexual politics and she's really political. And I'm so proud. She's brilliant. She's brilliant. And, she's like, Mum, are you sure you're doing this for the right reasons? Are you sure you're eating enough? So we go on this little trip. We've got our little travel suitcases, but they're quite heavy. And we're on the train, and without thinking about it, I just picked up my one, which was very heavy, and put it on the rack without thinking about it. Nancy's sitting down and she said, did you just see? And I'm like, what? She goes, did you just see what you just did? And I said, I'll put the thing on. She said, Mum, it's heavy and you just did it. And that was the moment I thought she understands it now. But the fact that she could see that it was about strength. So for me, it's about so many other, it is about how I look as well. It absolutely is. And I'm going to own that. And I feel better. And it's lovely to be able to wear nice clothes that I've always liked, but been uncomfortable. But I could really dine out on her seeing this strength. And it was just lovely. It was a lovely moment.
Many women I know will want to start a program because their first instance is that they want to look better. But what they actually discover is that through the process, it's how they feel.
You
And when you
feel
feel
better.
stronger, you hold yourself differently, you radiate a different energy, people notice. I love that story because she recognized that you were strong, and that's
Yeah. And
wonderful.
she loved that. She enjoyed that. It is about strength, Nancy, and it is about making me feel confident and happy. And they've both seen that. They see how delighted I am with certain things. And that's so nice. And that's better than, you know, trying to just lose weight just because you want to lose weight, because you want to fit into some trousers and you want to have a nice photograph. I mean, it's a world away from that.
Mm.
And I know I'm very conscious that I keep linking it back to them, and I've thought a lot about that. But you've got to talk about what you know and what's important, and
Well, they're your why.
they
They
are
are
my they
your
are my
why.
right. They are. They really are.
That all
Yeah.
it's all connected, as you say,
It's
you know,
completely
that's
connected. I mean, your structure is incredible. But for me, that's the other thing that has kept me going, I think. It's actually really easy. It all works beautifully. And the website to the food, to the having you, to be able to call you, to the lives, it all is for us punters, it's all so easy.
what keeps you coming back.
It's all here for me. And you're so lovely and you're so supportive. Your enthusiasm is infectious.
Oh, thank you.
And your skill, I feel very safe.
But if you were to describe Body by Pieta in 3 words to sum it up, what would they
For
be?
me, that will be impossible. Have you just not heard me
Just
rambling?
three. Only three.
It really works. I feel like I'm on an ad.
It really
It,
works. I love
it
it. That'll
really
do.
works. Do you notice how hard? Did you see the cogs? I had to just do 3 words. And it really works. I mean, I am a really good advert because I don't never did stuff like I would never dream of continuing doing something like this. The other thing at the very beginning, when you said, what were your reservations? I thought, well, I could probably do it myself.
Mm.
I mean, that's crazy.
Can you sum up how perhaps this has affected outside of your life outside of Body by Pieta?
Well, I mean, confidence is the best word because I like myself a bit more.
Oh,
So I'm going to cry. I actually don't think I've said that out loud.
that's
Yeah,
huge.
I like myself a bit more. Um, so I'm carrying on doing what I was doing before, but with a bit more confidence and a bit more oomph behind me.
Yeah, bit of self-love, bit more self-belief. And that's the inner work that I was talking about, you know? It's the mindset piece, which, often many of us aren't brave enough to admit at first of why we feel the way we do before we start a program like Body by Pieta. And my biggest wish for everyone that I work with is to really bring in the self-love. So if you were then to talk to the version of you before you started this journey, what would you tell her now?
Oh God, just do it, do it, do
And
it.
you've just proven to yourself you're not fragile. You are getting stronger despite where you are in the age scale of wherever you are. Age is just a number. Like you've really proven not only to yourself, but to your daughters that your next chapter, your new chapter is just about getting stronger. And
Mm, mm.
you've just absolutely crushed your results, Rebecca. I'm so, so proud of you. And I really wanted to share this story because it's important for women to know that it's not an overnight fix. There are journeys and layers along the way. Thank you so much for sharing your story so openly and honestly today. It's just wonderful. I'm so pleased for you and just keep going. You're fabulous. Thank you.
Brilliant. It's a pleasure. Thank you so much. Thank you.
See you soon.